My guest today is Karaline Loiterton, who founded Wedding List Co, Australia's first dedicated bridal registry company. They undertake over 1,000 registries a year and deliver more than 50,000 gifts around Australia and overseas. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about how the business came about.
Well, it was one of those classic businesses where it did come out of a personal experience. So when I got married, I was living overseas at the time, and we came back for a short holiday, and when we were back we set up a registry with an Australian department store, and I was just very underwhelmed by the whole experience, the lack of service, the fact that they weren't online, and even the range, it felt very staid, and obviously it was because we were living in in the UK at the time, and the retail market was quite a bit more dynamic, and so I felt there was a real opportunity. I spent about 6 months researching it and opened the first store in Sydney almost 8 years ago, and it's gone from there.
And there's a couple of things about that. Firstly, when you started, not a lot of retailers were online. Not as many as I would like to see are still online.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about online. But firstly, you know, we quoted the figures of 50,000 gifts a year. What sort of systems does a business have to have in place to have that level of transaction?
It's the back end of the website really runs the whole business, and it's been a massive advantage for us, and it really has been what has made us stand apart from many other little competitors who've come into the market. And our huge advantage really was that my husband was in IT and systems when I started the business, and he was always very involved right from the get-go. He joined full-time about 2 years in, when we did get to that level where, with the number of gifts that we were delivering and the number of weddings or registries that we were doing, we really needed quite an advanced back-end system, and he built it all with the help of external consultants, but predominantly he did spec the whole thing. And so our whole inventory system, our whole delivery system, everything is extremely automated.
Now, despite how strong you are online, you still retain a physical presence. So you have stores in major cities in Australia. Why the need for that?
There is still a lot of people who do like to touch and feel, and for big investment pieces like a dinnerware set or cutlery, it's quite important to hold the weight of a knife and fork. Bed linen as well, people like to feel it, so we feel it's important to still have the showroom, but equally it's important for the guests. So even though 90% or even higher now % of the guests will still purchase the gift online because they can see an image, a full description, they can write a message, they can convert into any currency if they're overseas, there still are at weddings granny, grandpa, aunties, uncles, elder guests, or even more traditional younger guests who want to come and see and touch and feel the gift beforehand. So for them as well, having that physical store presence, it's a trust thing too. We're not just an online business. They're buying a wedding gift. It's very important to them that they know that we are a trusted business, because there still can be with elder guests sometimes, well, why is the list not at a department store? So having that store to come into really helps break down that.
One of the things that we've seen in the news quite a bit lately is that since the Australian dollar has been stronger, more and more people are shopping from overseas sites. Has that impacted your business?
It hasn't, because obviously the bride and groom have chosen their list of gifts, and the guests go to the list to see what they've chosen. And really, in terms of homewares, there's not to the same extent homewares that would be being bought overseas as there would be in fashion. Right. So most guests would prefer to purchase it off the list to ensure that they are buying the correct item. What has affected us more so is obviously with the emergence of more people buying online and the ability to very easily search. So if somebody does have a certain item, let's say a set of glasses, they can very easily search and see where they can find that cheaper. So what that's done to us has made us extremely price competitive, and we introduced in the last 12 months a price match guarantee. So if a guest does see the gift somewhere else less expensive, they can contact us, send through proof, and we will price match.
You've been successful in business, you've done very well in the 8 years. What principles have you worked by? What strategies have you used? You've got a young family. What would you share with us as your strategies for keeping it all together and doing well?
Well, look, it's absolutely, in terms of, to answer the question, with having a young family and having a business, I think it's absolutely a balancing act. And I know a lot of different women in business, many of whom that you've interviewed, and I think all of them would agree that there are some weeks when it works fantastically and there are some when it doesn't. I have a big advantage that my husband is in the business with me now, and we're very much a team, and sometimes he'll be the one who goes home early, sometimes it's me. And when the business requires more attention in marketing and buying, I spend more time at the office. When it's more website, finance, and that side of it, systems, he spends more time. When your business becomes more established and people find out more about it, you do get approached with a lot more offers and opportunities. And I think it's very important that you do know what your company's strengths are and what your strengths are, and don't be diverted by too many other opportunities that are not closely connected to the business. I think it's very easy to get off track and go off in different directions, but know what your core business is, know what your core strength is, and certainly for us, people say all the time, why aren't you doing all these other things in the gift industry? Well, bridal registry in itself is still such a, it's a very large market, and we're still a very small percentage. We'd rather do that, do it really well, and be an expert in one field. So probably my last point would be the biggest lesson has been around my team, and I would say that in the 8 years it's been my biggest learning curve. It's something I am constantly working on, and just the importance of the team, the importance of getting the team right, motivating the team, and things like the Vern Harnish and the like, those sorts of principles.
Just for those listening, he's the author of what's the name of the book? The Rockefeller Habits.
Rockefeller Habits,
That's
exactly.
Right.
And thank you. And the key to having a good team around you. And so that's something that as a small business we're always working on. I think especially when you are still at that 15, 20 people, even more so making the dynamics right is so crucial to the success of the business. So that's a big learning for all new business owners.
Karaline, congratulations on all your success, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.